Hello, I'm Dr. Balasubramanian Tyagarajan. Today in our continuing Scribus tutorials, now we will explore the options available inside the software to export this document into various user-friendly format. So this document, a small manuscript has been completed with all the text, illustrations, everything has been incorporated. Let us see by clicking the I sign here. We will see how the document will look when it is printed. Yeah, this looks okay, looks fairly okay to me. This is the preview screen which I'll be able to preview the final result of the document, how it's going to appear when it is printed. So now I will close the preview screen by clicking the I again. It's actually a toggle switch. Clicking once will open the preview. Clicking it again will close the preview and go to the document edit window. Now the document is ready. Now we have saved the document by giving it a name. And now let us go. You can also print this document directly. If you have the printer connected to your system, you can give the if you click the print, it says that there are free objects on the page which are outside the page. That does not bother. If we just ignore the error, it will give you the option of printing it to the push the document into the printer for the printer to print. So that is directly. Also you can use a connected printer to print this document, or if you want to export this document and send this document to a printer, professional printer, you can choose save as EPS. EPS is actually a encapsulated PostScript file, and this encapsulated PostScript file will be very helpful for the printers to print your document. Now mind you, when you are going to export this document as encapsulated PostScript file, every page will have a name. It will export it page by page. So if you want to give EPS, it will export it page by page. For example, you say it will export page 1 and then it will export page 2, like that. So I will just say I will export it to the desktop and then give a OK. So it will export the entire thing into page by page. So this is the EPS file. So I will open in my Adobe Illustrator, see how it look like. This page can be directly printed. All the settings needed to print the document are incorporated into this file. Even the fonts will be incorporated. So whatever you export in this format will be immediately printable. See, now this first page has been exported in encapsulated PostScript format. So you can export page by page. You can only export page by page, and then you have another option of save as image. So here you have the choice of saving it in any of these image forms, but I will advise you to save it in either TIFF. TIFF is advisable for the simple reason this is a lossless format. Even if you compress, the quality of the document is not going to suffer, and the high resolution printers really love this format. So the first choice, if you want to export the document as an image, should be a TIFF image. And if you print, all the printers, let me assure you, all the printers can print a TIFF image. So again, you need to specify which pages you need to export, because when you want to create an image out of Scribus document, the image will be created page by page. It will be exported page by page. So you need to specify the range, which pages you want to export. You can also export all pages. You can choose the current page to be exported. All these things can be done. You can use a PNG format, but JPEG format is actually, when you compress or when you edit the image, every time you do it, it suffers loss in quality. So when you want to print, you choose either TIFF is ideal, or you can use a PNG. You need to have a chat with your printer before you choose the image type you want to export your file. The thing is, if you export the file, entire document, into separate image files, you also have the choice of giving the job to two separate printers. You can say 5 pages can be given to one printer, the next 5 pages can be given to next printer, and ultimately the job gets done faster. That is also possible. So that is the reason why you can split the image files into uh, pages into various image files. And if you want your document to be printed, I will advise you to save it either as a TIFF image or as a PNG image. The best choice will be to save as EPS. EPS is the best choice because it has all the quality checks incorporated into that format, and then all the images are optimized in this format, and the document will be easily printed by the printer. So the first choice, if you want to send the document to the printer, you should export the document in EPS format. If your printer insists that he wants the document in image format, you choose a TIFF image, which is actually a lossless image. Even if you compress, even if you edit n number of times, the image file does not suffer any loss in quality. Now there is something called SVG. SVG is actually scalable vector graphic format. This scalable vector graphic format is very useful for the simple reason. This is the, if you want these files to be used in web pages, if you want these files to be animated, and if you want these files to be edited frequently, you use this SVG format, that is scalable vector graphic format, because you can if you export the file in this format, you have the choice of directly importing the same into Scribus without even creating a text box. So that, let us see how it works. Let us go to administrator, let us go to desktop. So I will just export a SVG file. So it has been exported. It should be here, I think. Let me search for it. It has not been exported. Let me see. Export as SVG scalable. It is here, right? Here in me page 1 SVG, right? Visit desktop here in me. Yeah. So it is exported here as SVG scalable vector format. Now I will import the same into a page inside Scribus. Let us see. File, import, get a vector file. So here you have not created a text box, neither we have created a image frame. So now my cursor is, see, I am able to import the same SVG file into the Scribus document, so that without even creating, resizing the frame, it is, you can just simply import the SVG file. So you go to import, get vector file, you can get the graphic file. Suppose this is one way of ensuring that you have a useful backup file, so that if you have these files saved in SVG format, you can always recreate the entire file if you want to by opening up a new instance of Scribus and importing this SVG file into the Scribus. Even if you resize, even if you reduce the size of the file, the quality of the image is not going to suffer if you use this SVG format, if you export the document in scalable vector graphic format. Now let us come to the most important and the last. This is actually the most important. You can save the entire document as a PDF. So this can be done by going to save as PDF. So when you click the save as PDF window, what happens is it will throw up a dialog box where the user needs to set certain settings here. So here this is actually the save as PDF dialog box. The user has got the opportunity to do some fine tuning with the document. So the user can choose where exactly the file needs to be saved. Now the default setting is inside the document folders, my document folders. It has given the name which we have used to save the Scribus document, and now it gives you the option of exporting either all the pages as PDF, or you have the right to choose the pages which you want to. So you can always say 3, 4, 5. So you can select the consecutive page, or you can say even pages. You can print the odd pages, or you can print the even pages, or you can use a list, say 1, 2, 4, 8. So you can do all these things too. You can use a comma separated list to export the number of specified pages. So what happens is the moment you say it will, the moment you give OK, the range of pages will be shown in this window. You can rearrange the pages if you want and create the final document. So you can export all the pages, or you can choose the pages which you need to export. Why you need to choose the pages you need to export is, supposing if the author desires to give out a sample chapters out to the readers, this best way to send out a sample chapter is to export certain chapters alone, certain pages alone, to ensure that the user reads it and sees work how the work is. So now let us see, there is also a choice of rotating the pages. For example, you can mirror the pages horizontally, or you can mirror the page vertically. Even that can happen. And then you can click the printer margins. Supposing if you want to click the printer margin, what happens is the margins which is allowed, the space which is allowed for the printer to use will be cut and the document will be resized. And then this option of compressing text and vector graphics, this option helps you actually to reduce the size of the file. If you want to give out this file as an email attachment, definitely you need to reduce the size of the file. That can happen only if you compress the images. So now by default the compression is chosen to be automatic, but you can also choose a lossless zip where the compression will be minimal and the images won't suffer any loss of quality. And then there is something called lossy JPG, where if your images, incorporated images, will be converted to JPEG images, of course on compression they will suffer some loss in quality. And then if you really want to send out this document to be printed to a printer, it is always safe to choose none. So you can send it without compression, so that the printer will be viewing the document in its totality without any loss of quality. So if you send the document to a printer, always choose none. If you want to achieve maximum compression, you choose a lossy JPG compression, or you use the default automatic, which it is the most optimal way of compressing, where the images are that much clear. It does not suffer that much of loss of quality. So that automatic is by default chosen, but if you really want to send the document to the printer, you ensure that you choose a no compression. And then quality of compression, again you can choose a minimum, high, medium and low. So by default the compression is maximum. Now there is something called setting a maximum image resolution. This is done to optimize the size of the file. Supposing if you don't set this maximum image resolution, what happens is, if you have embedded an 8 MB file, it will occupy that 8 MB space. So if you really want to print the document, if you want your document to look good on printing, don't check this box. You allow the maximum resolution to be as planned by the publisher, as planned by the person who has compiled the document. So you choose the maximum image resolution, and only if you desire to reduce the size of the file. And mind you, if you want to send the document for printing, still you want to reduce the size, the minimum graphic size should be 300 dpi. If it is less than this, your printed image will look grainy. It will look very grainy. It won't look appealing. So this is as far as the general tab is concerned. General tab provides you certain options as per pertaining to the file settings. You can use this compatibility setting to choose the lowermost version of PDF or the lowermost version of PDF reader that can open this file. So here by default it gives you PDF 1.4 or Acrobat 5. This is actually the minimum PDF version which your document should be sent with the support, because the lesser it is, the more the number of software which is going to open your document. So if you are going to make it high, if you are going to give PDF 1.5, you have the liberty of adding extra security features, but almost some major PDF readers may not be able to open this PDF 1.5. So it is always safer to use PDF 1.4. This is actually a good compromise, where even if you would have used frames inside the document, if you would have used what do you call layers inside the document, all these things will become visible if you choose the PDF version, say between 1.4 or 1.5. But if you are using, say, PDF X1A or PDF X3, this is actually meant for advanced users. So this is actually this will help these users to make their files compatible with certain types of high speed printers. So PDF X3 and PDF X/1A, these two formats are not meant for regular use. Supposing you want to enable this, you choose this, you need to enable the color settings inside Scribus. So if you, how you are going to enable the color settings? Supposing you want to choose 1A, you need to enable the color settings. Otherwise, if you don't enable the color settings, it is not possible for you to choose this format. So how to enable the color settings? I'll just go to the document setup, and then here you have color management. So you have to activate this color management. Make this box check this box. So if you don't activate this color management from the document setup, you won't be able to export the document in the PDF X format. PDF, if you want to export this document into PDF X format, you need to enable the color settings inside the color management inside Scribus. Now you can give the margin for binding. Margins actually, if you, the space which the document creator leaves on the left side, invariably we leave extra space for the simple reason that is where the binder is going to apply stitches or a staple or a binding material on the left margin. But if your text is going to be from right to left, as in Urdu, so you can shift the margin to the right, but default is left. If you are going to, other than Urdu, if you are going to use any document, you are going to create a document using English, that which is a commonest language, and the common language, majority of the languages starts with the left and it comes to the right. So the margin should be on the left and the binding should be on the left. So that is the reason why the left margin is default. Then you can choose to generate thumbnails. What happens is when you open the document with the PDF viewer, what happens is at the left side your PDF viewer will show a small thumbnail of the pages. So this helps the reader to navigate into the book very easily. So if you check this box, it will automatically generate thumbnails into the PDF file. And then if you have linked text frames, supposing you find that your text has overflown that text frame, so what happens is you need those texts to flow into the newly created text frame on the subsequent pages. You would have created a overflow frame and you would have connected, linked both these text frames. Supposing if you would have used this text frame link feature inside Scribus, you need to check this box saying save linked text frames as PDF articles. Then only it will be smoothly visible to the reader. So regarding the linking of text frames, you need to go back to my tutorials which describes in detail how to link these text frames. So if you have linked your text frames, you need to use save linked text frames as PDF articles. That needs to be checked. And then if you would have created a bookmark, for example, if this is the header, I'll show you. This is the header. You have the choice of right clicking on this frame, text frame, which you have separate text frame created for the name of the chapter. Then go to PDF options. Then say is a PDF bookmark. You can just select this box and it will say PDF is bookmarked. So similarly, if you have created bookmark for the PDF, you need to specify that you need to include the bookmarks which you have created into the PDF document. Supposing if your document contains layers, you definitely need to upgrade your PDF version. So you need to say minimum requirement is 1.5. So supposing if you have created layers within the document, the advantage of these layers is if you create layers and place objects on top of these layers, it is easy to edit one object alone without disturbing the other objects placed on the same canvas. So each object will be treated as a different layer. So you can place different layers. Supposing for example, the text can be placed on a separate layer, the images can be placed on a separate layer, and your tables can be placed on a separate layer. So you technically your canvas can have n number of layers. So if you would have created each specific layers for each of these objects, so that it will facilitate editing of these objects individually without troubling or disturbing the other objects. If in the presence of layers, you need to use Acrobat, a minimum PDF version of 1.5 or Acrobat 6, and then this setting gets enabled. You can include the layers. And then if you are going to have graphics, EPS graphics imported into our Scribus file, if we have seen just shortly in the same tutorial about encapsulated PostScript file. The encapsulated PostScript file can again be like your SVG can be imported into your Scribus document. Supposing if you have incorporated EPS graphics, the minimum resolution you can specify as 300 dpi. That is the minimum resolution. Supposing you want to embed another PDF file into a document, you can also use this embed feature, but this may not work so well because the embed and the screen on which it is visualized is not so good. So this is actually a purely experimental feature. Maybe in the subsequent version of Scribus, this will become better. So this is as far as the file options. The first tab is over, and now next comes the next tab. So again here you would have created this document using quite a number of fonts, and this document has been created using Garamond bold and Garamond regular. So I cannot assume that this Garamond form group of fonts will be available with the user. So you can choose to embed the fonts into your PDF document itself. So what happens is you can choose this font to be embedded, click the right arrow, it gets embedded. Already these fonts have been embedded because I've already done it. So you can choose Garamond regular embedded. Both these fonts have been embedded. Suppose you see a number of fonts here, you would have used 6 or 7 types of font. You just click embed all and it will just embed all the fonts into the PDF. But if you're going to embed all fonts which you have used inside the document, definitely the size of the document is going to increase. So that you should clearly understand. Your size of the document will proportionally increase as you choose the embedding feature in the fonts. So if you really want your printed document to look like the original Compose document, you should embed these forms. And then there is one more aspect of, you can embed only the outline of the font. Supposing the common font, say for Arial bold, is commonly present in majority of the desktops and desktop publishing software, in all the printers, this common Arial bold is a very common font and it will be freely available. So here the system will automatically say, I will just give outline of this font, let the using printer choose the optimal font to display. So that the outline part, the fonts to outline, you can choose by default. What happens is your Scribus chooses the common fonts as outline. But supposing you want to reduce the size of the document, you can choose all these fonts and say outline all. So it will provide outline for Arial bold, outline for Garamond bold, outline for Garamond regular. But this Garamond bold and Garamond regular are may not be commonly available within the printers printing software. So this is a tricky situation, but ideally speaking, you should speak to the printer before you enable this setting, so that if the printer says he has those fonts within his system, then you can give out the outline alone. But if the printer says that he is not sure that these fonts could be available with him, you just ensure that you embed those forms irrespective of the size of the file. Then let us go to the extra. So this extra features, actually you can use the same Scribus document to deliver a presentation slide. You can, instead of giving out a text, you can create something like a PowerPoint presentation. You can give out a layout in PowerPoint. The same thing, you can give the entire booklet in the form of slides. So you can enable presentation effects. So all the pages are listed here. If I show page preview, I will be able to say for example, if I say show the page preview, so what happens is entire pages are seen as a preview, because I may not know the page number, what the page contains. Say this is the first page, second page, all the pages being preview. And then you can specify the display duration, because it is going to run as a slideshow, and you can add effects to it. For example, you can add blinds, you can add a box. So all these effects can be added. You can apply the effects to all the pages, or you can apply the effects to the specified page. You can quote the direction from outside inside or left to right. All these things is possible. Something like a PowerPoint slideshow. The entire thing will run like a PowerPoint slideshow. So even that is possible with Scribus. This will be created as a PDF output with the extras enabled. Now this is actually what the user is going to view when the file is ready, when the file is distributed. You can choose the user to view the file as a single page, one page at a time. You can view it as a continuous page which will move sideways, and then starting with the first page, and then it will be displayed continuously to the end. It will scroll, in fact. So now if I keep the cursor, you can read it, you can scroll the document, it will display page by page in a continually scrolling manner. So double page left, here the document will be shown as double pages, the first page will be displayed as the left page. The first page will be the left page, and all the other pages will be built in double pages. So you will be seeing the page side by side. Supposing if it is going to be double page right, what happens is the first page happens to be the right page and the subsequent pages will be shown side by side. So you can choose a double page left or a double page right. So that is your choice. If you feel that your document will look good when it's viewed as a single page, you choose a single page setting. Or if you want your document to be viewed on a continuous scale, you can use the continuous setting. You can use a double page left. Supposing you want to start up with the double page and the subsequent pages will be seen side by side. Supposing you want the viewer to see your right page to start and then the subsequent pages side by side, you can choose this option. Mind you, these options will be overridden by the options the user has set in his PDF reader. Supposing if the user is using a PDF reader, he has got the right to set the options how he likes to read a document. Supposing if the user would have set a certain type of viewable features on his PDF reader, these settings won't be incorporated. Your settings given by the user or the viewer is going to take precedence over your settings you set here. And then visual appearance. So you can use, ideal is choose the first one, use viewers default. Supposing if you use viewers default, the viewer will be very happy that he is seeing the document in his own friendly way, which he used to read a document in his own specified way. So the best thing to do is just use user default. But if you want to be very particular that my document will have to be viewed this way only and my document will look good when it is viewed like this, so you can choose your own setting. You don't choose a view users default, you use display bookmarks tab. Supposing you want the user to display bookmark tab, you choose display bookmark tab. And then if you want the user to see all those pages inside the book as thumbnails on the left side, you can use as display thumbnail. You can also choose display layers. Supposing if your manuscript contains layers, each object, I have been talking about layers in my previous sessions. If you really want to know about layers, you are welcome to go back to my previous tutorials on Scribus, where I would have in detail dealt with use of layers in Scribus. And then you have the option of hiding viewers toolbar, you have the option of hiding viewers menu bar, and then you have the option of zoom page, allowing the software reader to zoom the pages to fit the viewer window. All these things you can give out. So but in fact the minimal tinkering you give here, it is better, because the user would have set something which is useful, which he likes it, he or she will like optimize the PDF reader which they have. So is no point in forcing somebody to do it your way, let them do it in their way. So I will prefer use viewers default. And then if you are really adept at coding, if you are good in JavaScript, you can write a script and allow the script to manipulate how the document is going to be seen by the viewer. So that if you have a script, you can give out a script from inside the settings. So now, since it is not within the preview of my tutorial, because it is going to be highly advanced, that will take up some time later, so let us not bother about this JavaScript incorporation into Scribus. Then let us go to security. So you want your documents to be safe, you don't want anybody to mess with your document. For that to happen, you need to enable this use encryption. If you use encryption only, you can password protect the file, you can allow or disallow printing of the document, you can allow or disallow changes made by others to the document, you can allow the users to copy the text and graphics. All these things are possible only when you enable encryption. So now here, this enable security features. If you have a security feature, if you have a version, if you selected PDF version, it will be protected by 128-bit security encryption. So if you want a higher level of encryption, you need to go to 1.5. So that is the more higher the version, better will be the encryption. Now if you give out the password for owner, suppose you own the document, you give out to owner of the document. If supposing if you password protect the owner, nobody can edit this document without giving the password. So that is the password for owner. So the owner, that is the creator of the document, needs password to edit the file. So that the first field is the owner field. You can set a password for the owner, and then if by setting a password to the owner, you can prevent people from unauthorizedly editing your work. And then you can password protect your viewer rights. So the user know, if you want to restrict the user from unauthorizedly viewing your work, you give out a password protect, give out a password here. You can allow the user, send the password to the user, so that the user will be able to open the document only after keying in the password. So there are two phases of password. One is to edit. If you are the owner, you choose the password to, this will be a master password to edit the document, and then you can also choose a password to allow the user to view it. And now since you have already enabled encryption, so you can choose whether you are going to allow printing of the document. If you uncheck this, the user will not be able to print this document. Let us allow the user to print the document. Then if you check this box, what happens is the user can make changes to the document. Supposing if you are particular that nobody other than you should make changes to your document, leave this box unchecked. And then if you want to allow, if you are graceful or magnanimous enough to allow users to copy your text and graphics, you check this box. Otherwise, if you want to prevent unauthorized plagiarism, unauthorized use of your material by the users other than reading, you just ensure this box is unchecked. And then you can allow the user to add annotation and fields to facilitate the user to work on their document. And then let us go to the color profile. You here inside this profile, you can optimize the document to be used, to be viewed in the web. Supposing you are going to send this document online, so this to be viewed as a web document, web-based document, or a screen-based document, or as electronic document, you just choose output is intended for screen or web. Supposing you want this document to be printed, you choose the printer. The moment you choose the printer, the other things gets enabled. So you need the choice, you need here to decide whether to convert the spot colors into process colors. So that again, this spot colors to process colors should be converted, because we are going to print a textbooks. If you are going to print a poster, if you are going to print a brochure, you don't check this box. But since you are going to print this as a book, you need to convert it into process colors. And then you need to, if you know the custom rendering settings of the printer, if you know the color profile used by the printer, you need to speak to the printer and you use the color profile, because the color profile which you have used to create this document should closely match with the printed output of the document. For that to happen, the printer also should use the same color profile which you have used to create the document. So you need to take the matching color profile from your printer. And then images, you can use the color profile which is already there embedded. So you can use the color, check this, use color profile, it will choose the color profile which you have used to create the document. So that you need to check. And then here, if you use check this one, it will, what happens is your Scribus will say this is the profile I am using, and you need to print using the same profile. So you can order the document to use the same color profile which you have created inside this document, which I have used to create this document. So this is actually the setting as far as the printer is concerned. Now it's going to be, we are particular that we need to send this document out to as a web-based document. So let us choose screen or web. And then prepress is what you want to decide what are the marks that needs to be seen on the print. You can say crop mark should be shown, bleed mark should be shown, color bar should be shown, page information should be shown, color bar, everything. If you want, it will be shown, means just registration marks, all these things will be shown inside the document. So we are all, if these marks are actually meant for the guidance of the printer, so we will save this and we will say yes. Okay, it is inside the documents folder, so it is getting exported. Let's see whether it has been saved. It's there. I'm opening the document. See what happened is we have reversed, we just reversed the document there. The first, it is reversed. Why this has happened? So when I told you about the setting, we have reversed the document, we have used page reverse. Now what we will do is we will create a document without reversing the page, without application of reversing. What we did was we just rotated the document. So let us not rotate the document. We will save the document without rotation and see what happens. Sorry, it has already taken the settings. What we will do is we will re-rotate. So what I will do is I will rotate again. See what has happened to the document. Best thing to do is don't save. We will discard all the things we have done with it. Go to the recent document. Just as a demonstration, I did that just to rotate. What we will do is we will go to the export, save as PDF. We ignore all the errors. Go to the prepress. We will show the crop marks, bleed marks, color box, page information, everything will be seen. And then we are going to save the document. So now let me save in my document folder. Yeah, now you are seeing the color bar here, which we have incorporated there in our setting. And then now you are seeing the margin. This is the bleed area, which is the printer's reference. So if you send the document like this to the printer, they will have a good idea. This is actually the gray scales, the white and black scales which are used here. This is actually the colors which are used here, color scales which are used here. This is the document details, the name of the document page, and then the date on which it was created or printed. So all these details will be given, incorporated into the document. Now we are seeing this PDF document in toto. Supposing you want to create a document not for printing purpose but for viewing purpose, you need not include the color schema, you need not include the bleeder margins, you need not include the printer's binding margins. These need not be included in our page. So that is one thing here. If you really don't want those things to be seen, what you go to prepress and disable all these things. They won't be page, nothing will be shown. So just save. So now you won't be seeing all those things. Let me show you. Now you don't see the color coding, you don't see the you just see the page number, you see the document. This is how the document should be exported when you want to export it to web.